All right, let's dive right in. Today, we are going on an electrical journey tracing the path of one of the most critical moments in aviation, starting a helicopter. We're going to unpack the surprisingly complex and, frankly, brilliant starting system of the Robinson R44. You hop in your car, you turn the key, and bam, the engine roars to life. It feels so simple. But in a helicopter, that simple twist of a key is the very last step in a long chain of safety checks. So why? Why all the extra steps? What is the system so afraid of? That's the puzzle we're going to solve today. Well, the short answer, of course, is safety, but the long answer is way more fun. We're actually going to become the electricity. We're going to follow the current from the battery all the way to the starter, and we'll see every single gate and every checkpoint it has to clear before that engine can even think about turning over. Now, our journey doesn't start with a switch or a wire. Nope, it starts right there in the cockpit, with the pilot. Before even a single electron starts moving, a very precise set of physical conditions has to be met. This is all about making sure the aircraft is safe to start on the ground. Okay, look at this list. Every single one of these 6 steps is like a physical lock that the pilot has to open. The battery has to be on, obviously. Circuit breakers in. And here are the big ones. The rotor brake and the clutch switches must be in their off positions. Each one is a deliberate physical action that confirms the helicopter is in a safe state before the electronics even get a say. All right, the pilot has done their part. The stage is set. With a flip of the master switch, our electrical adventure begins. And this is where the machine starts to think for itself. Okay, so think of the R44's wiring not as a simple, straight pipe, but more like a maze filled with security checkpoints. Flipping that master switch just opened the front door, releasing the current. Now it has to find its way through the maze to get to the starter. Now here's a really cool detail. The master switch doesn't directly send the main power. Nope, it just provides a tiny bit of current to create a ground for a big, heavy-duty relay called the master solenoid. That solenoid is like a massive floodgate. It slams shut, and that's what allows the high amperage current to surge from the battery. It flows through a little device called a shunt, which lets the ammeter measure what's happening, and then it energizes the main bus, which is basically the power strip for the entire helicopter. So, the main bus is hot. Power is now available to pretty much everything, but the path to our destination, the starter, is very specific, and our current is about to hit its first major test. And here it is, our first big safety gate. The current flows right up to the rotor brake switch. Now, if that brake handle is pulled, the switch is physically open. It's a dead end, a literal brick wall. The electricity can't go anywhere. This one simple switch makes it physically impossible to even try to start the engine while the rotors are locked, which would be, well, catastrophic. Okay, our path is clear. The rotor brake is off, so the switch is closed. The gate is open. Now the pilot does their final action. They turn the key to the start position. This sends our current zipping down the wire, right past the ignition switch and straight into the intelligent heart of this whole system. We have now arrived at a small but absolutely brilliant piece of electronics, the starter lockout unit. If the other switches were just simple on or off gates, think of this little box as the intelligent gatekeeper. It actually analyzes the situation and makes the final call. So what does this gatekeeper do? Its entire job is to ask one question. Based on what the helicopter is doing right now, is it safe to engage the starter motor? And the really smart part is that it has 2 completely different rulebooks it follows, depending on if the helicopter is on the ground or if it's already flying. And here's its brain, right here. This is the core logic. If we're on the ground, it's checking 2 things. Is the clutch switch off? And is the belt actuator all the way disengaged? This makes sure the engine isn't trying to spin up the rotors when the clutch system isn't ready. But if we're in flight, it totally ignores the clutch. It only cares about one thing, rotor RPM. This is what makes a safe in-flight restart possible if the engine quits. Let's talk about that in-flight number, about 69%. Why that specific number? It's not random. It represents the rotor speed where there's enough momentum, enough energy from the wind spinning the blades in auto-rotation to safely re-engage the engine. If the RPM is any lower than that, the lockout says, nope, not safe, and it prevents a start that could damage the system. And hey, don't just take my word for it. Robinson's own technical support documents state it just like this. The lockout allows a start only when the rotor RPM is above about 69% or when the clutch switch is disengaged. It's a simple or statement with massive, massive safety implications. So let's say our conditions are perfect. We're on the ground, the clutch is disengaged, the gatekeeper has looked at all the inputs, it's happy, and it gives the all clear. It sends one little electrical signal down the line, a signal that basically says, go for launch. The finish line is in sight. We did it. We've passed every check. We've satisfied every condition. Now, a super fast chain of events is about to translate that tiny yes signal from our gatekeeper into the raw, immense power needed to crank a helicopter engine. This is the final handoff. It's like a relay race. The lockout unit's little signal energizes a small relay. That relay then throws a switch that sends power to the big starter solenoid. That solenoid slams shut, connecting that huge, thick cable directly from the battery to the starter motor. In a split second, hundreds of amps flow, the starter spins like crazy, and the engine roars to life. So, we made it. We followed the current from the battery all the way to the engine. Let's just zoom out for a second and think about the big picture here. Why go through all of this trouble? Our little electrical sparks journey was basically a series of checkpoints, from the master switch to the main bus, through that critical rotor brake gate, past the pilot's ignition key, and finally getting permission from the intelligent lockout unit before the starter could ever engage. Every single step was a mandatory go or no-go.
And that's the point. This isn't just complexity for complexity's sake. This is safety by design. Every single component in this circuit is there to ask, is it safe to proceed? This system stops you from starting with the rotors locked, it makes sure the clutch is ready on the ground, and it gives you a safe window for an emergency restart in the air. It's brilliant.
And that really leaves you with the final thought, doesn't it? This whole intricate, intelligent system is all operated by the simple turn of a key. It's a masterpiece of engineering that makes a very complex decision feel incredibly simple. And it makes you wonder, what other incredibly complex safety systems are hidden behind the simple buttons and switches that we use every single day? Thanks for joining me.